Hello and welcome to Teacher Talk, the podcast for teachers who are lifers but still want to have a life. This is Jared, and as always, I'm joined by my partner, Johanna.
Hey, Johanna.
Hi, Jared.
What are we going to talk about today?
How to manage leaving.
Leaving. How do you manage just up and leave?
Well, like
leaving a job, leaving the end of the school year, leaving.
Oh, yeah. Like when you are going to leave a school, or your friends are leaving the school, or your administrator. When people are.
For the summer or for forever?
For the foreseeable future. Like they have a different job, or they are going somewhere else, or you are going somewhere else.
Or they're quitting to be parents.
Or they're quitting to be parents.
Like all of your friends?
A lot of my friends no longer teach, but they now, some of them have come back. The kids kind of grew up and they're jumping back in.
I assume that's part of the leaving story.
No, I guess it could be.
Okay. So are we talking about you leaving, or are we talking about someone leaving you?
All of it. Just loss. Like it can be very upset. It's I refer to teaching a lot. Sometimes I'll say it's like being in prison, but I also think it's a lot like being in the military. Like these are your comrades in arms, and whether you are getting a whole new troop or whether your troop is changing, it can be really distressing.
Even if they're not your friends?
Yes.
Just like the way you have it set up with your colleagues, it
yes.
changes things for you?
Yes, it can be very upsetting.
All right. Well,
even if you don't like them, like as people, it's still like, but they're your person. I mean, you've experienced things together, and that common thread can be very upsetting to lose.
Okay. Tell me about it.
Okay, well, where should we start?
I don't know.
You don't know? Well, let's start with you are leaving.
You are leaving.
You are leaving.
It just happens.
Yes. We happen to be in a district that's really growing. And so I've left many schools just because we're opening new schools and you got to get assigned somewhere. And so I've gone through this process a fair number of times.
What do I need to know about it when it happens to me?
I think the biggest thing is controlling how people find out.
Control how people find out.
And the message of why you're leaving.
Control the message?
Correct.
Why?
I don't know. It's like PR 101.
I mean, you're not running for office.
No, but you kind of are. Education is a small world. You need to realize even if you teach someplace where there are thousands of teachers, like it is a small world and things come back around. So you need to control the message. This is not the time to say that you are leaving because you hate X, Y, or Z, or this was unfair. Or
when is that time?
Never.
Oh.
If you're not leaving, if you want to complain to a trusted friend about a situation you're in, I suppose that's fine. But if you are leaving, like there's only positives. Only.
Which is generally good career advice. Because there's no sense in burning bridges, but you're saying it's even more important because education, like you say, is a small world.
Right. It doesn't mean you lie. It just means you ignore.
You want to control your brand.
Control your brand
on the way out the door.
Yes. Why would you ever throw people under the bus?
Because it feels good. But you're saying...
Well, they think it might help someone. If I tell them the truth, it will help. No, if there's something they really need to know, they will learn that through the number of people that leave.
Never helps, Jon Snow.
No. Your actions speak for you. Your words need to make as much positivity as possible. Particularly for the people who are staying. And it's not that you're leaving because... Like, I've left and I haven't wanted to leave places, but it was just that was what was best for me professionally. And I suppose it's easy to be positive then, but I just want to reference, if you're leaving because you need to get out, you should still be very positive, and you need to be the one that communicates that as soon as possible. Control the message. Send a staff email, put up something in the teacher's lounge, put up something in the teacher's restroom that says goodbye to people, bring treats or snacks, and talk about, future journeys or paths, or I'm sure we'll have the opportunity to work again, and just be very content.
Because as we know, teachers are like turned into their students mentally. You all act like the students you teach. And so if they don't have a message from you, they'll gossip and they'll wonder like if you were forced out.
They will make a message. I will say that. Yes, people will wonder. Elementary teachers will wonder if like something is wrong because they're genuine and kind and caring. And middle school teachers, we are very genuine. But sometimes we struggle on the kindness factor. And so, yeah, you just want to control it.
Okay.
And you want to give any potential, even if you had been very truthful 2 weeks ago, you're not going to reference whatever truth you said 2 weeks ago that at the moment maybe you were still there, so you're still in it. So it was important to speak your mind for educational purposes. But that's gone now.
But I want to.
But don't.
But why?
Because you will meet and see everyone again. It is the truth of the world. It will come back at you. I have had kids that are now parents, and I have their kids, and I'm not very hippy-dippy about things, but there is a boomerang effect to the universe, and you just need to positive, 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 so then you don't have to get stressed or anxious 10 years from now when you rerun into these people, and you're like, oh gosh, what was the last thing they remember about me?
But if they suck and you told them so, why are you worried about what happened 10 years ago?
Well, because I don't know that what I perceive to be true is true. Like, let's pretend I thought that. I don't know that that's true.
So it doesn't matter. Like, that doesn't matter. I don't want to be remembered as someone that's difficult to work with, or even though I'm probably totally difficult to work but you don't want to be remembered that way.
No.
You do want to be that way, but you don't want them to think that.
No. Rainbows and sunshine and happiness, and make it a positive experience. But you can only do that by controlling your message. And if the bigger hill of negativity you have built, the bigger response you have to have. I mean, that's when the treats in the teacher's lounge come out. That's when, like, you have to make a bigger production of controlling your message.
Because it's, not have to, but it's a good opportunity, right? Like, because of the way people think about things, they're going to overvalue the last encounter they had with you.
Yes.
And so you have an opportunity to have a positive memory planted in a lot of people for relatively little effort.
Yeah, and there has to be positive things about where you are and what you've done, and you reference those things.
So, but this is general. Every job thingy is going to say something like this. Like, why do you think that this belongs on your Teacher Talk podcast? Why is this particular to teachers and not just obvious advice for everyone?
Oh, well, because teachers are not business people. So business people always are looking out for who?
The customer.
Really?
No, it's totally the customer.
Nah.
Yeah, put the customer at the center of everything you do.
That's what you people say.
Even on this podcast that has nothing to do with what I do at business. Still, that's what I say.
Okay.
That's how business people are.
Business people put the customer first. Okay, well, let's pretend that business people put their self-interest first.
I see what you mean, is that in the private sector, we're used to,
Money is money.
It's not ludicrously cutthroat.
It's not a child. From a teacher's perspective, these are children. I feel the need, like it is like intense in you that these are not random customers that could just go to a different, like I want to put my customer first because otherwise they'll go to someone else.
It's not transactional.
This child is here. I have to protect them. But what I have to realize is that I've chosen to go protect different children.
Yeah.
And these ones are not the ones that I get to control how they're protected anymore. And that is so hard. I mean, these are teachers at the secondary level hate to use the word love. And then you go to elementary and all they do is say that they love you and they love their kids. But that, it doesn't matter what age you teach, that is what it is.
We'll circle back to that.
Okay.
But I see what you're saying. Private sector business jerks are used to concepts like managing their personal brand and stuff. So
that does not exist in education.
Right. But you're saying your answer to my question then is it's good to be reminded because this is a key moment in your personal brand when you're leaving a place to act a little bit like a business person.
Yeah.
And manage the way that people perceive you.
Yes.
At this highly critical time and highly valuable time.
Yes.
Got it. Now back on the circle too. You introduced a new concept there I think you probably want to talk about more, which is the concept of like your children that you're invested in and having to like abandon the ones you have and then pick up new ones.
Oh, yeah.
So does that make leaving hard, I assume?
It depends. So if you teach in an environment where the kids are leaving no matter what, like they're not your kids anymore, there's almost this last process that you watch teachers go through in when we talk about the end of the school year and how teachers need to act versus how they want to act. Part of that is because they have to separate themselves from those kids. Like they love those kids. Even if those kids drive them flippin' mad, they still love them. Just like I'm assuming when we have a 14-year-old, my 14-year-old might make me furious in ways that no one else could make me furious. But that doesn't mean that I don't love them intensely. And so teachers go through this like separation process if the kids are totally leaving them. But if they're leaving them to go to the next grade, that feels different.
It's not as bad or not as acute.
Yeah, like you'll see them. They're not gone forever. They're just...
Whereas if they're going from the elementary school to the middle school, or they're graduating and stuff, it's different.
Right. Probably the only times you'll interact with them would be very surface level, saying hello because you saw them somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You leaving the school, you're used to that? Because it's not really that much different than fifth graders going on to middle school?
If you are a fifth grade teacher, that will feel the same. If you're teaching fifth grade, it's the highest level, right? If when I taught the highest level at a school, it was easier because the kids and I knew that going into it.
Right.
And I will say though, when you leave a school and then the kids like that you had years before find out that you're not at that school anymore, that actually, I'll get letters from kids and they'll be like, why aren't you there anymore? What happened? Because they expect you to stay. But if you are at a school where those kids are still going to be there, they might have a different teacher. I don't know. It's a tight bond.
Do you do anything to manage it?
Look, I'm even upset now. You get sad. You're a protector in those kids' life. And there's a part of you that feels like you're abandoning your own children to leave them. particularly if you know that you're leaving them with something that isn't good. That's not what you would want for your own kids.
Sure. But there's other kids to help. Or what do you tell yourself?
Well, you tell yourself that you have reasons for leaving. And they could be personal, that you're putting your family first. It could be professional because you're putting future students that you have first. Or it could be that you know you can have a greater impact or a greater influence if you go somewhere else. Or that someone else could come in and do this job better than you. Like, I think about when I retire, I am sure that part of it will be that I will know new blood is needed. Even though my experience might be lost, that what will be gained in a new person will be of more value to the future kids than myself.
Yeah, we'll see if you think that at the time. Famous last words.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, it's emotional for people to leave.
What else do you want to say about you leaving?
Let's see. I would say allow yourself to be emotional. Like the kids, even old kids, respect that. Like, I tend to be kind of, intense and truthful, and my kids are used to me being very concrete. And there's nothing wrong with them seeing me grieving the loss of getting to teach them.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you allow yourself to be emotional?
Secondary teachers are not like that. And female teachers
That's
teachers
sexist.
really struggle at the secondary level with showing any sort of female emotions.
We're going to have to edit the sexism out.
Why?
Because
It's
you're making
truthful.
you're advancing hurtful gender stereotypes, and I won't hear it.
What?
What?
You don't think that female teachers feel a need to be very, to leave their emotions completely at the door while teaching?
It's unfair to stereotype people. That's wrong.
Maybe male teachers feel it
I'm,
too.
I'm kidding.
Okay.
I don't really know what it's like, but I can tell you that for the most part, men don't worry about it.
Well, I don't know that that's true.
Because there's not this. There is a standard that exists in our society where if men show emotion not too often and about the right things, it seems like it's viewed positively as like, oh well, they're sensitive about this really important thing, like losing the football game.
So many emails. We are going to get so many emails. The question will be, who gets more hate mail, you or myself?
As long as you don't do it too much, it's viewed positively. Whereas, like, the first time a woman is emotional in a professional setting, it's held against her forever. And so there's a lot of pressure to never crack, right?
Yes. And
now, more and more often, men aren't allowed to get mad, which is a lot harder for them because it's natural for men to get mad. I tell you as a doctor.
So many emails. Okay, keep going.
But that's probably good. We've tolerated, I think, men being mad in professional settings for longer than we should have. That's really the flip side of the pressure that men have now.
Yeah. Okay.
Is to don't lose your temper ever, even if someone's really got it coming.
Okay, I would say then if you are leaving and discussing leaving with your kids and you get emotional, that's of value. if a kid is being a kid and a goober butt and you get emotional, whether it's anger or sadness, that's not good teaching, because it's not personal when a kid is acting however they're acting, even if what they are saying is extremely personal. Like, you're there to be the referee, and the referee just is the protector of the rules.
Right.
Like, but in this case, I think it is okay to...
Do you think it's good?
Grieve.
This is a good place to really show that makes it sound fake, to show the kids that you care. But like, it's a time to let the sincerity open in a way that isn't bad for the kids and is good in the long run.
Yes, and give them time. Don't give them too much time. Don't tell them right before finals or something like that. But control the message. If your job's going to get posted, then you need to be letting kids know that this is happening, so that kids don't figure this stuff out on their own, or their parents figure it out. And then again, it's the whole thing of like, they will figure out why you're leaving, so you might as well control the message so it doesn't trickle out, but that you are leading it.
All right, you got anything else?
No, I think that's kind of it for you. It's pretty simple. Just control your message, allow yourself to feel what you feel, and keep it as positive as possible.
Are we going to go on to other people leaving, or is that the next podcast?
Yeah, no. Other people leaving. What do you think? Shall we put it in this one? I say we do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Okay. So when other people are leaving, you can feel like the legs are kicked out from under you. Because this is probably someone you've relied upon, and they make teaching easier for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, whether they're your teaching partner or an administrator or an associate that works in your room or works with a particular student, or a paraprofessional, or the custodian. Oh my gosh, when the custodian left, it was very sad. I grieved. But, someone that makes your world better because they're there is leaving.
Sure, you don't have to convince me to not be happy about change.
Okay.
I got that.
Yeah, you don't like change.
I'm on board. It's bad. What do you do about it?
Okay. You have to decide to just be happy for them.
Be happy for them?
Yes.
Decide to be happy for them?
Yeah. There's no undoing this in education. Like, if they're telling you that they're leaving,
it's done.
It's done. And even if they're telling you they're thinking about leaving, do not get involved. You do not want that on your plate. You can ask them questions to help them help themselves. Like, you can say things like, well, what are some advantages or disadvantages of leaving? But you don't want that burden on yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do not.
No. Don't get involved.
You don't want to trick them into staying?
No.
Just for you?
Or leaving.
Or leaving.
Yeah, like, what if it's someone that you would prefer not to be there anymore?
I think I could handle that burden.
No. I just... Ugh. I don't know about that. That's a lot.
I mean, if you trick them into staying because it's better for you and then it sucks for them, you got to live with that. But
no, but
if
that's
you trick
bad
them into
too. Because
leaving,
if you trick them into staying, what if they transform into a different type of person or teacher because they should have left?
I know, I get it. Don't trick them into staying.
No.
But if they're bad and you want them to leave, I don't really see the downside of tricking them into leaving.
I'm just going to say I'm not going to get involved in that.
I feel like that's your moral choice.
Okay.
What's the advice on why it'd be a bad idea?
To get involved?
Yeah.
Because I think you don't know. Like, you think you can know how someone teaches, but we don't watch each other teach.
Yeah, but if it's bad for me that you're in my building and I have a chance to get rid of you.
Oh, I don't know. I'm just saying I'm not doing it.
Right, okay.
I also believe everyone can be saved. So
don't get involved. You'll have moral crises. It'll be sad. What else?
Yeah, so you're going to be happy for them?
Yeah, you said that. Decide to be happy for them?
Yep. You're going to make sure that there's some sort of goodbye process.
Make a goodbye process happen?
Yes. This can be true for like student teachers too. You want to, whether that be that there's cake in the teacher's lounge, or that you write them a letter, or that you take time to personally thank them, you need to make sure that you at least look them in the eyes and tell them that you'll miss them and that you're excited for their new opportunities.
Or that at least you have cake for them.
I do the cake
look them
for
in
the
the eyes
student
and
teachers.
say, I got cake for you.
I do that for student teachers. Okay. But yeah, something, something. Or that you go out together at the end or something. Create a goodbye process.
And then this is important because...
I think that people leaving in education is a lot like people dying. Like you need a funeral. Like you need to say goodbye. You need to let yourself feel how you're going to feel so that you can let go.
So it's mostly for you.
Yeah, it's about you.
Okay. Anything else?
Don't worry or think about the future.
Don't. Okay, why?
Because for the most part, teachers can't control that. We can't control who's hired. Sometimes we're not even asked. Like, we're not even allowed to sit in on an interview team. We don't get to control what the new person values. We don't get to control how they act or interact or what kind of job they'll do. Like, just so much we don't have a say in. So you gotta just let it go and not think about it. Because there's nothing to think about or worry about. Once decisions are made and someone new's on board, then you can manage whatever needs managed.
This is advice that's only applicable to this exact situation. So you've really got it nailed down.
Why? What? You don't think that's good advice?
Don't worry about things you can't control.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll make sure I apply that to specifically a teacher is leaving the school I teach in.
Well, but it's kind of back to the kids though, Jared. Because you start thinking about, well, gosh, they better hire this type of person because this kid really needs blah, 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 blah. And if they don't think about that, what are we going to do for this kid? Like, it's too personal.
That makes sense.
It's too personal.
You write these stories in your head about the kids.
About the kids. You write these intense stories about the kids.
Like, this kid needs that teacher.
Or these kids need this type of administrator. Or, like, it doesn't matter what they teach. It kind of does come back to the kids or those who directly care for the kids. Yeah.
That makes sense. Why it would be generally good advice. Don't worry about things you can't control.
Like, I know you business people love
if only
the customer
you could have,
or whatever. But
if you could only have the strength to change the things you can and the serenity to accept the things you can't and the wisdom to know the difference. We should put that on like a cross stitch or something.
But the kids will do it too. The kids will start
saying,
doing the exact same thing, and so they'll kind of start sucking you in.
Because you know the kids so personally and care so directly, it's easy to, like, for your mind to write these narratives about why this is going to lead to ruin and fill yourself with concern and anxiety over this thing that you can't control.
Yes. Now, in the fall, we will have a podcast where we talk about how to manage new individuals to your PLC or team or school or administrators. You don't have to ignore the fact that change is coming. You just need to not think about it. Go do something else.
Got it.
Yeah. Okay, that's it. I think I got it all.
So we're going to recap.
Recap us.
Leaving.
Yeah.
You are leaving. You want to control how people find out. Make sure you're the one that sends the message to the staff and to the students.
Yes.
You're going to engage in a little personal branding. Because education's a small world and you're maybe not used to managing your personal brand. This is the most, the greatest opportunity time to plant a positive image of yourself in the minds of the people in this relatively small community. Don't waste it.
Correct.
Be super nice and positive about everything, even if you don't want to.
Yes.
And then people will remember you as a nice and positive person who is easy to work with.
Yes. We didn't talk about the parents, but
here's a new thing.
Yeah. Well, we kind of touched. You need to include that branding out to the parents too.
Students/parents. I just wrote it down.
Yeah. I mean, secondary parents are less important, but elementary, I would control that brand. Definitely.
You will tell yourself correctly, I assume, that you might feel bad, especially if you're in a position where you don't normally lose your students forever because they move on to a new school or they graduate. If you're used to still having them around after you're done with them, it might be particularly hard to change schools. But you have your reasons, because maybe it's your family, or you know that you're going to be able to help future students as much as you're not going to be able to help the ones that you're leaving. Or probably the reason you're leaving is because you think you'll have a greater impact at your new opportunity, or that someone else coming into your old one will be better than you were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then allow yourself to be emotional, because it's just a good time for it. And
showing sadness is like a good way to, being sad about leaving. That's like good positive branding right there. Like,
yeah,
that's.
So pretend to be sad for your brand.
No, stop it.
You're probably gonna be sad anyway, but
You're gonna be sad.
Don't cover it up just to look tough. It doesn't really benefit anyone.
Yes.
Other people leaving, decide to be happy for them, even if you're not. If they're thinking about leaving, don't get involved unless you're me and they're bad. Make some sort of goodbye process happen. You sort of need a funeral, kind of.
Yes. I think that's the best way to describe it. Make sure there's some sort of funeral.
We do that in office jerk work too.
You get time on the clock to have that.
Sometimes.
I feel like
we're all salary. We don't have a clock.
Oh. We're salaried, but we have a clock.
You have contract hours.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
So maybe you have a cake, maybe write them a letter or a card, or just look them in the eye and thank them for what they've done. Don't stress about the future. The strength, serenity, wisdom prayer, except it's particularly acute for teachers because of how personal the students and what you know about them and their relationships with the teachers that are leaving are. It'll be easy to craft narratives in your head about how this is just doom, but it's not doom, and B, you can't do anything about that anyway. So don't let that make you a prisoner of your own mind.
Yes.
All right. Any final thoughts?
No, I feel good.
Okay. Thank you, Johanna.
Thank you, Jared.
Johanna, do you get questions from listeners ever?
Yes, we do.
How do those listeners send you questions?
They send us an email.
Where does that email go?
teachertalk4teachers@gmail.com.
But wait, what kind of 4? How do I do 4?
All of the 4s. They can do a number 4. They can write the word FOR, or they can do FOUR, even though that one doesn't quite make sense.
Well, perfect. teachertalk4teachers@gmail.com.
Yes.
Thank you, Johanna.
Thank you, Jared.
Teacher Talk, the podcast for teachers who are lifers but still want to have a life.